Hello, my dear friends. How are you doing? Hope you are having an amazing day and not having to deal with drama. Ready for new stories I have for you today? Let's go to the first one. And don't forget to listen to the end of the story, guys, to hear my insights. Enjoy the stories, and don't forget to like and subscribe. And of course, don't forget to leave a comment. I will change some names just for privacy reasons. I am a 55-year-old mother of three. Carl, 30, male. Trista, 27, female, Nate, 25, male, and grandmother of Rose, 7, female, who belongs to Carl and his ex-girlfriend, Lexi. I am married to Renee, 48, female. My mother, Lynn, is the matriarch of the family, and I am an only child. Backstory: Carl and Lexi, unmarried and dating only a few months, decided to have a baby. They were successful and moved in together. During that time, Carl became close with her dad and grandmother, and they spent a lot of family time skiing at their vacation home. Their family also included my younger son and his girlfriend. Every summer, since 2021, my mother reserves an Airbnb for 7 to 9 days on the lake nearby and invites family, extended family, and friends. We invite my kids' friends, partners, and their families. Invite some friends. We have great relationships with in-laws, exes, and share friendships with other families. The invite list is pretty long. I like Lexi, her mom, grandma, and dad. When Carl and Lexi broke up, that didn't change. Carl and Lexi were great co-parents. Lexi's parents and I are co-grandparents. For example, they had a joint birthday party every year for Rose, and we grandparents would coordinate grandparent events at her school. So, of course, I invited them every year to our lake getaway. None of them ever came, but the invite was always there. Last year, Lexi had some very traumatic experiences, so she decided to come be with us and let go a bit. I was really glad, because I had been concerned about her. When she was dealing with the stuff, I had asked my son how she was doing, and he answered, "I don't know. Have you called her?" "No, why would I? Because happened. And she may need some extra support or something." He didn't get it. So I had called her, and she did need support. She called me one day and asked if I could take Rose for a night or two. Then came to pick her up early. Mom needs help sometimes, and she is the mom of his daughter. I digress. The lake trip last year. Trista, her fiancé, and his family were there. My wife's parents were there, and some of the kids' friends. Lexi came to the lake on the third day when my daughter was there, because they are still friends. Carl was stressed because his new girlfriend felt uncomfortable with Lexi being there. He thought it was his fault because he had not talked with her much about the situation as a whole, because they had not been together long. Lexi hung out with us during the day and stayed with a friend who lived nearby at night. Lexi was very nice to her and said, "This doesn't have to be weird." The girlfriend didn't have any interest in getting to know her and stayed far away. Carl and she just went off alone a lot and kept to themselves when Lexi was there. It was uncomfortable for everyone. Lexi handled it well, and we all just acted like there wasn't an issue. It was Carl's problem, not ours. Carl had a girlfriend before this one, who eventually became friends with Lexi. There were some boundaries that Carl had to set at that time, but all those nuances that you have to work out when parents separate were handled peacefully. I was proud of my son for that. I had some reservations about his girlfriend after the lake. We didn't interact with her until Christmas, and then nothing since then. She comes with a lot of baggage that I am not sure she has truly dealt with. I am not going to share much because it's not mine to share, but I am mindful of it, and I sympathize with her situation. She's 43 and should have gotten the therapy she needs by now. I am not pleased with a girl bringing this type of attitude into my son's and granddaughter's lives. She doesn't have friends. She is estranged from all of her family. She doesn't have furniture, and absolutely zero social media or internet presence. Background check shows only car, family, addresses, and other residents of those addresses. It's hard to explain, since she has only graced us with her presence 3 times over the last year. The only thing we know about her is what we see. We are very accepting and find joy in everyone who comes into the family, but she has just made everyone uncomfortable. Rose's birthday was a mess. He did nothing, and Lexi invited us to the party she was giving for Rose. Carl didn't respond to texts from his brother or sister asking if he was having a separate party or going to this one. Everyone went to Lexi's party, but Carl wasn't there. He didn't go to his own daughter's birthday party. He has been invited to other events, dinners and such this year, but doesn't show up. He has told me that his girlfriend doesn't feel comfortable around us because the last time she was around, we talked about his previous girlfriend, who doesn't even live on the same continent and has kept in touch with Lexi, Trista, and Rose. No one dislikes her, but no one likes her either. What's to like? So this year, my mom, Lynn, the matriarch of the family, said Lexi was invited, as well as her dad and grandmother, just like every year. She enjoyed having her there last year, and she wants her to be there again. I agree. She's going to be there a couple of days, and said she won't spend the night if Carl is there. Here is how Carl responded when he found out. He tried to uninvite Lexi by text, saying we didn't get his permission. I told her to ignore him, she's coming. Then he decided he would go when Lexi wasn't there. Okay, that was his boundary, when I informed him which 3 days she was going to be there. He said I should have checked with him first, and he didn't want her there. My mom put her foot down and said she's coming, and he could do with that what he wants. For the last 3 months, we have discussed this. His position is that co-parenting to this extent is not normal. I should have known not to invite Lexi because of what happened last year. I knew the girlfriend was uncomfortable. He doesn't want his ex on his vacation. I am creating the drama. Last but not least, we will see how Granny feels about this after the trip. I think it is hilarious that he thinks he is going to teach my mom a lesson. My points are, he's not in charge. He is not paying for it. It is not his vacation. Co-parenting is what is best for Rose, whether normal or not, and the girlfriend can deal with it or not. That's his issue. If she can't feel comfortable around us, that has more to do with her issues than with us. We have always been kind to her. We are not going to change how we do things because he has a girlfriend who doesn't like it. My son is livid. I don't know who he is anymore. He hardly talks to Lexi about Rose. He has not let me see my granddaughter for 3 weeks. I used to have her weekly. He has decided not to go to the lake at all now and is not allowing Rose to go on the days he has her, which is half the trip. My daughter was able to get her fiancé's niece, friends with Rose, there this year. She even tried to talk to her brother about Rose because she wants time with her at the lake when she is there. Rose is sweet, so she won't make a stink. But she cried to me about it, and I feel guilty, but I am angry that he is using his daughter this way. Am I and my mom the a-holes for standing firm on this? OP is not the a-hole in my opinion. Honestly, thank her for being a voice of reason and stability in that little girl's life. Rose is lucky to have a grandmother and great-grandmother who prioritize her well-being over adult drama and fragile egos. OP's son sounds like he's deep in the fog of an unhealthy relationship, cutting off family, isolating himself, and now using his daughter as a pawn to punish OP for not bending to his girlfriend's insecurities. That's not parenting. That's control. It's not abnormal co-parenting. It's healthy, compassionate, and mature. What's abnormal is pretending your child's mother doesn't exist to make a new partner more comfortable. OP is not catering to Lexi because she's OP's ex-daughter-in-law. She is including her because she's part of her extended family and Rose's life. She's clearly made efforts to be kind, gracious, and maintain boundaries. Also, OP's son is trying to uninvite someone from a family vacation he didn't plan or pay for is wild. And the veiled threat about Granny changing her mind? Please. Granny sounds like the queen bee who isn't taking crap from a 30-year-old sulking over adult decisions. OP is doing what's best for her granddaughter. That makes OP a great mom and a great grandmother. OP's son needs a wake-up call, not blind obedience. And now let's hear community's opinion. Not the a-hole, but maybe this girlfriend is isolating him on purpose. He needs to prioritize his kid. What is best for her is what he should be doing. Oh wow, you are definitely not the a-hole. This is co-parenting done right. Your son is having trouble with his girlfriend because she just doesn't get it. She doesn't realize that, although you all like each other, this is all done for one little girl. I get how the girlfriend is feeling. She's new and she's jealous. She's afraid that your son and his ex might decide that maybe they should try again, if no other reason than for Rose. But you should sit her down and explain the situation to her. I hope they both come around. Good luck to you all. Carl doesn't get to co-parent only when he isn't in a relationship. He has to co-parent all the time. If his girlfriend can't deal with having the mother of his child around, she shouldn't be dating a father. It sounds like Lexi is being respectful of Carl by not spending the night and only coming for part of the trip, and Carl needs to meet her halfway. It sounds like there are a lot of people around during the lake house visit, so he could avoid her if he wants. Blowing off his daughter's birthday was a a-hole move. He's letting his girlfriend throw a monkey wrench into was a good co-parenting relationship, and that's huge red flag. Rose must always comes first.
I, 34 male, am getting married next month to my fiancée, who I will call Amy, 22 female. We've been dating for 4 years, and I'm so excited to finally marry her. She's the love of my life and makes my world so much better. My marriage with Amy will be my second. Me and my ex-wife, who I will call Julia, got divorced 5 years ago, but Amy is aware of this and has no problem in dating a previously married man. Though I try not to bring up my ex-wife, sometimes I can't help but compare Amy to Julia in some regards, mainly their looks. For context, Julie was an extremely beautiful woman. Whenever we went to bars, she would be asked for her number, and she has had many boyfriends before me. Amy has told me she feels inferior to Julia, but I always reassure her that she is the woman I am marrying, and that I wouldn't trade her for anything. Since Amy does not have a job and I've been working on and off for the past year, we are by no means wealthy. Last week I went shopping for dresses with Amy, and I remembered I still had Julia's old wedding dress, which she had left in my apartment. I mentioned to Amy how much cheaper it would be for her to wear that, but she became extremely upset and left the dress shop. When I returned home, Amy was still upset with me and said that she wanted her own dress instead of a hand-me-down. I told Amy if we didn't spend so much on the wedding, we could put that money towards our future. But Amy did not agree and refused to talk to me for the rest of the day. I feel like Amy is being unreasonable and childish, as the dress means nothing and we really can't afford a new one. Am I the a-hole? You're the a-hole. Talk about not being able to read the room. You owe Amy something better than being compared to your ex-wife and a hand-me-down dress. You really shouldn't be marrying anyone while you're still so hung up on the ex. Wow. Yeah, you're definitely the a-hole here. Like, seriously, how could you actually believe for 1 second that you weren't? I hope she finds someone better who doesn't think his ex is more attractive. Good Lord. Jeez, you're the a-hole. If you were marrying someone with an ex-husband who you felt inferior to, would you be happy if they suggested that you got married dressed up in their old cast-off clothes? Honestly, dresses for weddings don't have to be expensive or only worn once. So if the cost of a dress is really an issue, you can get cheaper ones. Editing to add, you're an a-hole a whole second time for comparing their looks, even in a way you view as complimentary or making Amy the favorable one. You absolutely can help it. Just don't speak the words. No wonder the poor woman feels inferior. Seriously, it sounds like you're way too emotionally immature to be anyone's husband right now. I, 27 female, soon to get married to fiancé, 31 male, figuring out how to make a nice small wedding because of the virus. The issue is my future sister-in-law, 29 female, who I really like in general. My fiancé and she are very close and respect and admire that. She is quiet and a bit odd, doesn't have many friends. I want her to have fun at our wedding and feel comfortable, so I ordered bridesmaid dresses that flatter her figure. She's overweight and also didn't insist on strong makeup. I know she never wears any makeup and I respect that. She said it's fine, whatever I wanted, but I really wanted her to be relaxed. Their mother is difficult and always pestering her about dating and stuff. She doesn't seem to mind to be single, but I know weddings can be tough. Her mother made it clear the topic of her lack of relationship is to be discussed at every opportunity. Of course, we told her to invite a +1 if she wants, and we were prepared to provide accommodation for the entire wedding party. Again, small, overnight. Not that I expect her to actually bring a date, because we know she's single. Knowing her, I expect her to either not bring a +1, she's a loner and fine with it, or maybe bring a friend. Then the other day she called my husband to say she'll be attending with a date, and implied she's in a relationship. I figured immediately it had to be a ruse for the mother, because she was single the other week. I was fine, whatever, but then she posted a picture of the guy all over Instagram, and she rarely posts. And he is extremely attractive, like model attractive. This is when it clicked to me that the guy might be an escort. I don't mind escorts, but it is essentially a stranger nobody knows anything about, and in such a small and intimate group of people. Furthermore, we agreed to provide accommodation for the wedding party that obviously includes the +1, and it means this stranger will spend the night at our place. This is not something I am comfortable with, and I wish I was told beforehand. My fiancé is not too thrilled either, and he wished his sister told him. Like I said, they are very close and discuss private things. If she wanted to bring someone as a fake date so their mother doesn't bother her with questions, then I feel she would have told him. Not that she had to, but this is how their relationship is. They typically tell each other this sort of thing. Now, here's where it gets tricky. I tried to approach the subject gently and generally learn a bit more about the situation. I told her it's okay to bring whoever she wants, but can I know a bit more about this guy? I felt it was my right. I feel we have a right to know at least something about this person. I hinted that finding someone for a day is perfectly fine because I know what their mother is like. But she insisted that her relationship is genuine. This is what she called it, relationship, not even date, and we were pretty sure she was single 2 weeks ago. She shared some info about him at our request, but refused to say how they've met. The situation somehow grew tense really quickly and escalated from there until I couldn't take it anymore, so I finally openly asked if he's an escort. Again, I feel this is my right to know, not because of his profession, but because it meant he's a complete stranger to everyone, including her. If he were, I don't know, a friend of a friend, that would be at least something. But like I said, she doesn't have many friends and is generally socially inept, so all of this just seems too reckless. Also, I admit my fiancé and I are a bit hurt that she never communicated any of this with us, and this is something she'd typically say. So when I openly asked if he's an escort, she went berserk. She got angry and defensive and accused me of calling her ugly, which I never ever said, and of thinking a man who looks like that would never willingly be with a woman like her. Again, I never said that. Then she stormed off. Now my fiancé is furious with me for offending his sister, even though he too was suspicious of her date and didn't want to welcome a total stranger to our wedding any more than I did. Am I right for not wanting a total stranger at my wedding and for asking to know more about him? The sister says she's overweight, socially inept, doesn't wear much makeup, and that the guy is really attractive, so naturally her first thought is that the sister pays him. OP is an a-hole. What a B. Wow, is it that unbelievable that the sister could actually start dating? And why was OP making such a big deal out of accepting anyone the sister-in-law would bring if she wasn't happy about the thought of it being a stranger? Did she expect to know anyone the girl might end up dating? I just want to know who the duck decides what attractive is. I, 22 male, live with my dad, 62 male. I worked a full-time job and helped pay the rent, and I'm planning on getting an apartment soon. I also had a girlfriend, 21 female, named Kara, a year ago. It mostly started as a one-time stand, but I started truly loving her, and we barely used protection, so it didn't help that she eventually got pregnant. I offered to help her pay for her A, but she said she didn't want one, and eventually gave birth to our son. I didn't want anything to do with my son since it was my ex's choice to have the baby. But lately my dad has been extremely verbally aggressive to me, saying I should take care of my son, and that I'm a waste of a man if I don't help out with my kid. It led me into a deep depression, and I was unable to do anything at all. I quit my job and just sulked around drinking all day. I hated my son. I resented him and Kara for possibly ruining my life. I didn't want to pay anything for my son, but my dad forced me to, or else he'd kick me out. My dad was happy to be a grandfather. He wants to support Kara and has a good relationship with Kara's parents. Kara's parents want nothing to do with me, nor does my ex. I never wanted custody, so I don't have custody of my kid. So what's the problem? Why is my dad trying to force me to support my kid? I don't know, but recently he's been extremely hostile to me. So what happened was that Kara called me hesitantly asking where my dad was, since he didn't pick up his phone. He was out grilling with friends, and I told her where he was. She immediately hung up, and I saw red. I texted her saying she ruined my life and turned my own father against me, and that she's evil and manipulative. It doesn't help that I was also kind of drunk, so I kind of regret what I said. She told on her parents and my dad about what I said, and my dad said she was crying when she got the text, which I don't believe because she hates me anyway. My dad banged on my door and called me a ducking see you next Tuesday and a disgrace of a son, and that he could not believe he raised such a piece of crap. I ended up crying to myself, asking him why he's hurting his own son. And then he asked, "I'm not aggressive to you, but you are aggressive to Kara," and told me to get my crap together, get a job, or else he is going to disown me and throw me to the streets. I had a mental breakdown that night and didn't know what to do. Was I an a-hole for everything? You're the a-hole. Can't say it loud enough. You decided to have S while barely using protection. What the heck did you think would happen? That baby is yours, and he's your responsibility as well as Kara's. Your dad is completely right. Time to grow up and stop being a jerk. Yes, you're the a-hole. Wrap it up if you don't want offspring. Simple as that. Men are 100% responsible for all unwanted pregnancies. And just full stop with the ruined life. Your ex's life is upside down and will be for the next 20 years. So stop playing the victim, grow up, and take responsibility. That's why your dad is upset. The realization he raised a coward is a hard pill to swallow. You're the a-hole. Your behavior was immature and completely rude. You're 22, not 12. Kara didn't ruin your life. She decided to keep this baby and bring it into the world. If you didn't want any of this, then you should have used protection. It's not that hard. She didn't force you into this, since you cleared up your part into this child's life. Your father, on the other hand, decided to be unlike you, the mature one, and support Kara and your child. He is not verbally aggressive. He was stating the obvious: support your child. So yeah, you're the a-hole. Grow up, get to your senses, and if you don't want to be a parent, then don't, but stop blaming others for ruining your life. Your father wants to support and love your child and is respectful towards his mother, something you're not. I, 53 female, have a 26-year-old son with my soon-to-be ex-husband, 50 male. My dear son has a terminal illness and has transitioned from palliative care to hospice care. Needless to say, we're all devastated and have been hiding our separation from him. Unfortunately, the pressure of caring for our son and manipulation from a neighbor led me to a night of indiscretion, and now my husband wants a divorce. He told me he wouldn't file until after our son passes away, and I was appreciative about this at first. But now I'm rethinking this, and told him if he's not man enough to fight for the best thing that's ever happened to him, then I would tell our son that his dad is leaving me. My husband and our entire extended family are lining up and begging me not to do it. They said this news would devastate him in his final weeks, and he doesn't have to find out. But it doesn't feel right to lie to him. He's a young man who should be treated with dignity while he's here. He deserves the truth. And to know that his dad is giving up on our family. He doesn't need to be lied to and coddled like a child. I've already made up my mind that unless my husband agrees to counseling and to not file for a divorce by tomorrow, I'm telling our son the truth so he can have all the closure. It's his family too, and he should know that his dad is about to rip it apart. Have you lost your mind? Why would you tell your son that? And why do you think you're the best thing that happened to anyone when all you are is a cheater that'll manipulate your dying child to try and get your husband to stay? Don't you dare upset your child. He is dying and doesn't need your aggression. But if you do tell him, just know that he'll die knowing his mom is a cheater and disloyal. You know damn well the reason you want to tell your son is because you're mad at your husband and want to force him to stay. You cheated and now are trying to manipulate him into staying with you by hanging the piece of his son over his head. It's a show of your character that your cheating isn't the worst thing about you. Narcissist much? You're blaming everyone but yourself for your actions. You're even using your son's illness as an excuse for what you've done. You're the villain whether you like it or not. I'm sure your son will see it that way too. So, a little history to this story. My granddad owned a farm, and when he passed, the land was split accordingly between my dad and my 3 aunts, and let's just say my dad received 50 acres. We use different units for land where I'm from. My dad passed suddenly without a will, and where I am from, due to my dad's passing an interstate, the first in line to receive the inheritance are the descendants. The next tier down would be my grandparents. The next tier then would be my aunts. I hope this makes sense. So now to the story. Earlier this week, my older brother received a letter from a lawyer stating that it is proposed by my grandmother that she will receive 30 out of the 50 acres if me and my brother do not reject the proposal. Shocked by this, my brother called our grandmother and aunts, they live together, and asked them why they didn't speak to us first before making that proposal. Their excuses were, "Oh, you're always busy. You never ring us anymore," etc. After discussing the matter with them, their reasoning for taking 3/5 of the inheritance is the debt that my brother and I owe them for raising us and putting us through approximately 5 to 7 years of school before we moved abroad with my mom and stepdad. Realistically, they only raised one of us, as my mom and stepdad sent them money monthly to cover the cost for one of us. Anyways, my aunt's plan is to have my grandmother put on her will to split the 30 acres amongst the three of them when she passes. To sugarcoat the issue, they were saying, "We are still leaving 20 acres for both of you." If you're wondering why my mom wasn't present to raise me and my brother, she decided to leave the family because when my dad passed away in his sleep, my 3 aunts blamed my mother for his death. She couldn't deal with it. My 3 aunts have already sold their land, and my brother and I believe that they have spent most of their money and are running low as they live quite lavish lifestyles, and that is why they are coming after our inheritance. We are planning to reject the proposal. Are we the a-holes? Not the a-hole. You do not owe them anything for raising you. It was not your choice and not your debt. Reject their proposal. I wouldn't let them take anything from your inheritance. Not the a-hole. What the hell kind of inheritance law is this that allows people to make basically a bid for an inheritance that is not rightfully theirs? Their greed, because this is what the blah 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 comes down to, is not your problem, though they're trying to make it your problem by the attempted guilt trips. These don't seem to be the kind of people you actually want in your life. Please don't give away what is rightfully yours. Your father, if he was worth anything as a parent, would have wanted you guys to have it. If you end up cutting off contact with them, please don't feel guilty. They're showing who they really are. Believe them. Not the a-hole. It sounds like the aunts need money, and you are the people who have it. As a parent, I would never charge my child or grandchild for the cost of raising them or educating her. They are looking for an excuse to take your inheritance. Get a lawyer ASAP.